Family and fellow soldiers, I'm the Professor, and this is the Moment of Truth. Lil Nas X has been throwing a hissy fit ever since the BET Awards announced their 2022 nominees, and he didn't make the cut. Not so much as a single nomination for his debut album. BET has already responded, saying there's 500 entertainment professionals in their so-called voting academy, and that no one from BET is on the voting academy, so if Lil Nas X wants to be mad at anyone, he should be mad at the voting academy, and BET are passionate advocates for the wonderful diversity that exists within our community, visibility and inclusion for all the intersections of the black of blah blah blah. So Lil Nas X is trying to make an argument that he's being discriminated against, but that falls flat. The only thing the white media loves more than building up some bootlick sellout into a big name is to destroy them afterwards and watch their chosen idiot flame out with fury and rage and ultimately self-pity. Before it's all over, don't be surprised when Lil Nas X is on TV or posting a video on Instagram crying up a storm. He'll be looking like R. Kelly during that Gayle King interview. Maybe looking like Kanye West for it's all over. They're just raging and ranting and sounding insane. But you know what? If Lil Nas X wants to be mad at someone, he can be mad at Paramount. He can be mad at the white folks who own Paramount because they're the ones who actually own BET. But of course, he's not bringing them in for any abuse, and he's not going to. It's like I've always told you, the white supremacists love a joke that takes a long time to pay off. Black people are into instant gratification. The white supremacists, not so much. The longer it takes for the joke to pay off, the more the white supremacists savor how sweet it's going to be when the mark finally figures out the joke was on them the whole time. The longer that somebody lives a lie, the more devastating it is when they find out the truth. Oh yeah, they love to fool someone into thinking that these people around you, they're all your friends. Meanwhile, they're all laughing at you. White power loves a cruel joke. The meaner, the more mean-spirited, the better. It's their favorite kind. And if the joke is so cruel it drives the mark to harm themselves, that makes it even better. So Lil Nas X's bussy rage being out of control, there is something to be learned from it anyway. These days, he's urinating on BET Awards and posting that mess on Instagram. But again, he's not saying anything about Paramount. Not saying anything about them at all. He's not saying, well, BET is just a puppet organization of these white folks, and this is racism against... Nah, he ain't talking about racism. He's talking about anti-LGBT whatever. See, this is what happens when you have some emotionally immature, hyper-emotional, attention-whoring male who simply can't control his impulses. He can't control his feelings. Like so many punks, he lets white corporate interests convince him that the crap he does is cute. It's very easy to see who Lil Nas X's circle of associates is dominated by, who it is that he listens to most, whose opinion matters to him the most. See, those white corporate media figures that he likes to lick the boots of, they can give him money, they can give him prominence, but the one thing white power can never give is legitimacy. But when you're a talentless idiot, you're inevitably reduced to doing anything to get people to notice you. And that mess gets real old real quick. Lil Nas X's gimmick has worn thin. He was a momentary joke that stuck around way too long, and now nobody's amused anymore. And the white media, what do when a toy has lost its ability to amuse them? They begin abusing it. Because they know that he'll lose what passes for his mind without them. Lil Nas X has no talent, no business mind, and no common sense. And of course, there's some chumps out here trying to splain for him. They're trying to make some sort of meaningful expression of individual rights and dignity, trying to make some sort of argument for personal dignity for a guy whose brand is running around making a world-class fool of himself. Lil Nas X has been tweeting up a storm, but some of them have disappeared. Some of those tweets have apparently had to be taken down by him. Like the one where he tweeted that as a gay black male, he feels like he has to fight to be seen. He actually wrote that. Lil Nas X has gotten more completely undeserved attention than anyone I can really think of. His music, if it can be called that, is so utterly forgettable that nobody can even tell you any of his songs. He is literally famous for nothing other than his on-stage sexual antics. He's gotten more exposure than most anyone in the entertainment industry, and he's already gotten a bunch of awards because he identifies as LGBT, and the white media companies want to promote him because of that. His LGBT status has been his ticket to ride. It's what made him a thing in the first place. It certainly wasn't because he's black. But now he's trying to act as if he's somehow being ignored because of his sexuality. And he thinks that people are actually going to forget about the last 2 or 3 years. But as we all know, this is the sad and predictable pattern of every bootlick who plays the fool for the white media. When the white media goes ahead and gives them their little debut, they start off claiming, well, there's no racism that I found, and why their success is proof of that, and they brag about their accomplishments and how important they are and how meaningful them having a little bit of money and a little bit of fame is for everyone else. Again, I don't follow Lil Nas X, so I admittedly don't know anything about him because I don't make it a point to dwell on stupid people. But I'm willing to bet he's probably glossed over or otherwise minimized the place of racism in the industry up until now. Because these morons who think they've made it, that's what they always do. Their success is somehow validation that racism isn't as bad as all that. But as their white media attention begins to fade, they have to resort to increasingly more extreme displays to get attention. And then when the white media pulls the rug out from under them, they begin playing the part of the victim, and suddenly discrimination exists again. Well, at least for now. But Lil Nas X is claiming the problem is that he's gay. He's doing this because BET didn't nominate him for an award this year. I guess nobody's told this guy that these organizations like the NAACP and BET, they're trying to pivot away from the black community. They're trying to tiptoe their way away from blackness. These guys, they want to be a brand label. Basically, they just want to be a lifestyle brand, able to have crossover appeal with white corporations and ultimately white audiences. Before it's all over, don't be at all surprised if and when BET announces that BET no longer stands for Black Entertainment Television. Instead, they'll say that it's just letters. Same thing that AT&T does. AT&T claims that AT&T no longer stands for American Telephone and Telegraph. That basically is just letters. Same thing goes for WWE. Apparently, they're no longer a wrestling company. They're just WWE. There's a number of companies. I think AOL did the same thing. That's what a lot of these companies do. If they have themselves a name that's caught on and can't necessarily be readily forgotten, then they'll just claim that the letters no longer stand for whatever their original service or niche was. But while Lil Nas X was busy smooching dudes on stage and busy running around half naked and trying to show everybody how over the top and flamboyant and extreme that he can be, how outrageous he can be, he didn't seem to notice that the people who put him on were also about to take him out. Lil Nas X is excruciatingly aware that he's an invention of the white media. Without them, he knows he doesn't exist. And in the world of media, perception is reality. If he isn't perceived as necessary and important and indispensable, then he's not. He knows that. If he can't even get BET to acknowledge him, then he has to find a way to force himself into the conversation somehow. He has to force them to acknowledge him. So you go on Instagram and you take a BET award, throw it in the toilet, and then urinate all over it. I mean, that's going to have to force them to at least denounce you, if nothing else. The moment the white media turns their attention to the next talentless attention whore, Lil Nas X knows that he'll go the way of Milli Vanilli. And before it's all over, he'll be reduced to playing hole-in-the-wall joints or maybe starting an OnlyFans or something, I don't know. But he's not simply frustrated. He's scared and desperate. He should be. That over-the-top, do-anything-to-shock-people crap, he thought it was cute in music videos. But as he's finding out by making such a fool of himself, he's telling everybody, you ain't got to take this guy seriously. Even when he says something halfway reasonable, like there ought to be a cutoff age for public officials to hold office, it gets drowned out by all the other stupid stuff that he does. If you're going to be a fool, then you got to be a whole fool. You can't be a part-time fool. Nobody's going to follow the class clown, except people who are even more stupid than the clown, and a parade of morons will never get anything done. The white media got their laughs by putting Lil Nas X on covers to emasculate and denigrate the image of black men in general, but white power doesn't like having any black people around. So there's always an expiration date for the bootlick. There's two problems with being a useful idiot for white supremacy. First problem, sooner or later they have no more use for you. And the second problem, a useful idiot is still an idiot. If you live your life with your head up your own behind, you'll never see when someone's about to kick you in the butt. Well, at the very least, if there's ever a Moron of the Year award, Lil Nas X will certainly win that. Good day, and be one. I'd like to take a moment to mention some of our contributors: Jacques Hargett, Eric Bailey, Gail Johnson, Tyquin Campbell, and Threat Matrix. Salute to them, and thank you to everyone for listening, liking, and sharing this message. Black empowerment only exists because of you.